Outback Australia, an unforgiving territory and a land of amazing creatures, where sometimes nature needs a helping hand. These are the everyday heroes bound by a single mission: to save wildlife anywhere, anytime. In this episode of Outback Wildlife Rescue,
she could not walk or fly for 3 months.
A pair that care. They're the only hope for a one-legged swan.
We were thinking of a skateboard.
This tiny sugar glider was plucked from these massive jaws, but will he survive?
Well, they generally tend to cause crushing injuries.
And why is Darwin's meanest crocodile having a bubble bath? Across Australia, there are people sharing a commitment to save wildlife. We'll meet them from the tropical Queensland coast to the Northern Territory and monsoonal Darwin and the nearby Kakadu wetlands, and on 1,500 kilometres to the red deserts of Alice Springs and beyond. At the Darwin Crocodile Farm, they're going to attempt a rescue on this guy, and he's not happy about it. Chris Peabody's in charge. He's been wrangling crocs for 13 years.
Morris came here in the 1980s. He was caught in Darwin Harbour after he caused a bit of trouble, stirring up a few fishermen, surfacing beside them, really scaring them. They intentionally brought him here as a breeder, obviously a big, handsome-looking male. The only problem is he's a bit antisocial. Every girl he gets, he just sits there and rips the head off. They have a rule here at Darwin Crocodile Farm that it's a 2-girl rule. If they have any more than 2 girls, that they decapitate, no more.
So Morris, the lady killer, wore out his welcome here and faced an uncertain future. The good news is they found someone who wants to take him.
I'll be a lot happier when it's all done.
The bad news is they're 4,000 kilometres away at the Australian Reptile Park just north of Sydney.
What Nick's doing is we're bringing him out of the water. You can imagine you've got a 500 kilo plus crocodile. We're just slowly bringing him out. And,
Chris has never handled a croc this big, but he's got to move him to his new home, half a continent away. They'll start by injecting a sedative.
He's just been drugged. It could take up to 15 to 20 minutes to actually take effect. We need to watch and monitor him, make sure he's there. He's secure now, so he can't go back in the water. As soon as the drugs go in, we're going to put a second rope on him and just wait to see to make sure he's out, because it's always the sleeping crocodile that they get someone, the one that's not quite drugged.
Mr. Percival, no. Stop showing your male authority.
Rescuing wildlife doesn't have to be dangerous. At Beerwah in Queensland, 2 carers have turned their home over to recovering seabirds. But they're a pretty special pair.
She could not walk or fly for 3 months. So we persevered with her by giving her massages.
Bridget and Paula Powers, the twinnies for short.
We weren't going to give up on her, but she still sort of goes a bit weak in the legs, but nothing drama about it.
No surprise, they've got a couple of things in common. Genes, obviously enough, but also amazing dedication to the birds they rescue and rehabilitate.
Good girl. Good boy.
The twinnies reckon they've cared for more than 500 native birds in their time. The truth is, they've just lost count. Their latest project is Matey the Swan, who's in need of some serious medical help, and they're making sure she gets it. The twinnies are a familiar face at the Australian Wildlife Hospital.
Well, I think the first few times we met them, we were just laughing because, you know, they do this whole thing. It's hard to keep a straight face, but they're unique carers and they're really, really good at doing what they do. They're really good at getting seabirds back to health.
John's a twinnies fan, but that might be about to change. This little cygnet will test his skills like they've never been tested before. In Darwin, Lisa from the Ark Animal Hospital is having a challenging day too. She's been called out to a mystery rescue.
I've got some small creature of some description, and it could be anything from a rat to a possum to bandicoots. You never know what you're going to get on these sort of calls. The lady was a bit confused on the phone. Her dog's brought it in this morning, so we'll see what happens when we get there. Hello.
How are you?
Good. My name's Lisa. I'm from Wildlife Rescue. You gave us a call?
Yes, our dog bought this in this morning.
Oh, look at him. It's a little sugar glider. Hello, beautiful. Look at you.
Sugar gliders are a nocturnal possum that's adapted to glide between trees. This one's not long out of the pouch.
Yeah, well, Marcus just brought it in this morning. He had it in his mouth, brought it in. Virtually came in, dropped it at my feet as if to say, well, here, Mum, look what I found for you.
What's it in?
He's usually good with animals. He normally won't kill things, so we'll just bring them in to show you. And it's the first time he's ever had one of these.
These things are just the most beautiful creatures. Aren't you just the most beautiful creature? He's only a baby. He's obviously come off his mum's back somewhere in the night.
Yes, I think
Not
Marcus
for you. I think
thinks it's his baby.
You've done your rescue. We think.
As well-meaning as Marcus the dog no doubt was, the encounter's a worry. In those massive jaws, there's every chance the tiny glider has been injured.
She'll look after him for you.
I'll take him back and I'll find him a nice carer. And you're very clever.
As healthy as the glider seems, he could have internal injuries. Lisa needs to get him to the clinic right away. The twinnies are waiting their turn at the Australian Wildlife Hospital. Matey the black swan's only 3 months old, but she's already had her share of adventure.
She's a little baby cygnet, and why she's here is because when we rescued her at 3 weeks old, an eel had bit off her web foot, and we just want Dr. John to check up on her little stump and to see how it's going and to see if he can make it a bit more comfortable.
Black swans like Matey are only found in Australia. They live for up to 40 years, and chicks can swim and feed themselves straight out of the egg. But clearly, they can't keep an eye out for eels.
I'm just going to clean up that little bit that's bleeding. We'll make up a little padded bandage for that, just to, take the pressure and relieve the pain a bit. All righty, well, shall we knock her out?
Yes.
Birds have very high metabolisms. Small ones can reach heart rates of more than 1,000 beats per minute, all of which means they respond very quickly to anaesthetic. Walking around on that stump has made it sore and infected, but Matey's got a bigger problem than that. She's young and her bones are still growing fast, so if she keeps on limping, her whole spine could twist.
We were thinking of a skateboard and let us sit on the skateboard and...
Just leave that on for a couple of days until that.
John's got another idea.
I think what we're going to have to do is make up a little prosthetic leg, a peg leg for her, just to get her through the growing period, so that she doesn't end up with bone and joint problems from walking off balance. Major issue.
Somewhere in the world, there's probably an expert on Swan prosthetics, but John, well, he's never made one before, and it's going to be tricky.
You've got to consider that a lot of the bird's weight is going to go onto that prosthetic, and given that you're already dealing with an injury, it's really important that it's padded well, that it's balanced well, that it's the right length. And I'm not a prosthetic expert.
A challenge like this would stump many a vet, but thanks in no small part to the twinnies' powers of persuasion, John's going to give it a try.
You still be dopey? You still be dopey, Darwin?
In Darwin, the sedative has had time to work on Morris. Chris is hoping it will prevent a potentially fatal stress reaction called blood acidosis.
The drug's not designed for our safety as much as his safety. The stress that he could build up from this incident could kill him really easily, and it's a big problem when you get crocs that are of this size and of this age. The blood acidosis just kills them straight away.
Now it's time for the people to get stressed.
This is probably the most dangerous part of the whole bit.
A croc's bite is the most powerful of any animal on Earth.
Close him up. This is where it can go wrong really quickly.
The flip side is they have no strength opening their jaws, so string should be enough to hold them shut.
Just watch his feet there, guys. Let us know if his feet start sinking in the mud. Having a blindfold is just another method of reducing stress. If you can't see what's coming, it's probably better. It doesn't panic as much. If it falls off, he could panic, swing his head sideways, and even though his jaws are taped up, those teeth would still rip you.
His jaws are secure, but there's a bigger challenge.
Get a few people on the other side of the fence.
They've got to muscle all 500 kilograms out of his pond and onto an aircraft.
1, 2, 3, go!
Yeah. The Ark Animal Hospital has the job of caring for injured native wildlife found around Darwin.
Yeah, believe it, it actually was a sugar glider.
Really?
Lisa's just returned with the orphan sugar glider.
Look at that. Isn't he beautiful?
It's very cute.
You should have seen the size of the dog that had him in his mouth. I couldn't find any injuries or anything on him though. He looked pretty tidy, and that, I guess he's probably a bit thirsty.
He's a little boy.
I couldn't believe the dog didn't actually do him any damage.
Well, generally they don't cause sort of puncture marks. They tend to cause crushing injuries. So he's actually looking pretty lucky, really. These guys are the most common of the Australian gliders. They're found throughout the east coast and northern Australia, and they're found on a lot of the islands offshore. We'll have a look at his gliding membrane there. That sort of stretches out like a parachute and catches the air when they glide from tree to tree, and that looks pretty good.
He won't grow much bigger, but this guy will be able to glide up to 50 metres between trees, using his long tail to help balance in flight.
Okay, we're just having a look at him, looking at his eyes and his ears and just making sure that there's nothing that's been damaged. He's got a great little set of teeth there. We're just checking his teeth to make sure that he's able to eat solid food, and which he certainly is. And yeah, checking out all his limbs and making sure that everything is okay. Which he does, he looks great. He's remarkably relaxed actually, given that he's just lost his mum and been inside the mouth of a dog. Oh!
He's survived his brush with the dog, but he'd die if released alone. Sugar gliders live in colonies to help protect each other from predators like hawks and snakes. So he's going to need some help. In Darwin, Morris the crocodile has a plane to catch.
You just need lots of people to do an operation like this and get it done well. And the great thing about territory people is they just hook in. They don't worry about it, they just hook in and do it.
That's how you tell me this one here, the bottom one.
We're going to give him a wash. So because he's going on the plane, he has to meet certain cleanliness standards. Also, just make sure that we're not transferring any disease from one park to another park. So it's just a really good quarantine measure. This is 14 foot 10 inches in the old system, or 4.5 metres. So that's a monster croc. I mean, and he'd capsize a boat. You can see the first third of his body here. If he gets that in a boat, your boat's going over. You know, then suddenly, you know, boat tips over, you're in the water, croc's in the water. Do the math. You know, not going to be good.
Chris has built a special carrying crate designed to fit into the hold of a passenger jet. Question is, will the croc fit inside the crate?
1, 2, 3, touching. 1, 2, 3.
Down. Brilliant. Because he's so big, you can't put a crocodile long enough. You've got to curl his tail just to fit him in. He's in, he's padded up, the drugs are working well, and we're on to the next step.
That next step is a truck ride, and one of the most unusual check-ins Darwin Airport's ever seen.
Down a bit.
But the clock's ticking. He's going to wake up sometime, and if it's too soon, he might not survive the flight south.
Nearly.
The day's looking up for the baby sugar glider. He lost his mum and wouldn't have survived on his own, but now he's got a new one. Her name's Gabby.
This is just juice from tin fruit. I can give him this once a day at this stage, and milk 3 times a day, and then other little bits and pieces in between.
Gabby's one of the ARC's qualified animal carers, and she's volunteered to look after him round the clock for the next 3 or 4 months.
It's about the animals. It's always just about animals. I have a husband and 3 kids and a block, and a lot of animals at home and things to care about, but yeah, there's just something about wildlife that attracts me, makes me want to help animals.
When he's big enough, he'll be placed with a captive colony of sugar gliders. Then they'll all be released back into the bush together, and their chances of survival should be good.
He's just lovely. It's like having a live little teddy bear. He is lovely, and it'll be difficult, but I mean, he's much better off, into his pre-release colony and then being back in the wild. But yes, I will miss him.
What's his weight, Tabitha? 9.2. 9.2.
Go, Darwin. Good girl. Good girl.
The twins are still trying to find a solution for Matey, the young black swan. An eel bit her foot off, and she can't walk properly. But John has come up with an idea.
I'm just constructing a prototype peg leg for this poor little swan. We've come to the conclusion that it's just going to be a temporary thing that they put on when it's out of water and take off when it goes into the water.
It's for your own good, miss.
If it can give that swan a couple of months of relatively balanced gait while its bones mature, so that he doesn't end up with a twisted spine or pelvis or whatever, then I think we've done the job.
Good girl, Darwin.
There you go. Brand new leg.
It ain't pretty, but she won't need it for long.
That's better, isn't it?
Yes.
Once Matey's an adult, she'll spend 90% of her time in the water, where that foot shouldn't be an issue. Question for now is, will it work?
So she's going to have to get used to that.
As Matey finds her feet, in Darwin, Stephen and Lisa are hoping another injured bird will soon be taking wing. Last time on Outback Wildlife Rescue, they made a shocking discovery.
Some horrible person has made a snare to trap birds. It's just been hanging by one wing for who knows how long.
A whistling kite, a common bird of prey.
He's not even trying to fight us off.
The kite was exhausted and close to giving up.
We will take an X-ray to confirm that that's all intact.
But Stephen and Lisa rescued him just in time, and they began nursing him back to health.
And X-ray.
The local jail helped out too.
You there, Lee?
The kite spent 3 weeks recuperating in their aviary under a special prisoner volunteer program.
That's really good. He's actually used both wings there. That means that he hasn't got any significant nerve damage, so he shouldn't be here for too long.
And now, after coming so close to death, The kite is finally getting his chance to return to his life in the wild. But after everything he's been through, there's a risk he might not be able to fly.
Well, this looks like a good spot. Put down there.
Hey, little guy. Alright. You ready to go?
Alright, I've got his feet.
Yay, grumpy thing.
Okay, let's have a look at that wing. Boy, you can't even tell, can you? Hey? Well, you're the luckiest kite in the world, aren't you?
And now you're all better, aren't
Yeah,
you?
all better.
You're all better. You've been eating lots of food and you're not scared of us anymore.
This spot here looks pretty good for release. There's quite a few kites flying up on the thermals there, and plenty of bush, plenty of food.
This is his chance. If he's able to fly away now, the kite can look forward to living another 10 years, free in the wild.
You ready to go? Come on. Okay, ready? Go.
I was so angry about him being caught in the snare, so to be able to see him through and release him is just a fantastic thing.
And this one's special. You know, he would definitely have died. We just happened to stumble across him. We were able to rescue him and rehabilitate him, and now we've been able to release him. So that's fantastic. I'm really happy.
Come for a walk now, miss? More physio? Come on. Well, this is Dr. John's orders.
It's Matey's big moment. She lost a leg to an eel, but things might be looking up. She's about to road test her new prosthetic leg. The crowds have gathered in the twins' backyard to witness the event, and everyone's excited.
Come on. Ready? Come on. Come on. Yeah, good girl. Come on. You're doing well, Darwin. Good girl, matey. Good girl. Look at her walking.
It's not perfect, but Matey's walk is more balanced, and that should protect her growing spine.
After a few days, she'll walk perfect. Won't you, darling? Flick it up, good girl.
Thanks to that leg, she'll only be an ugly duckling for another 3 months or so.
Must be all strange to her.
Then she'll be a full-grown swan and take flight. It's been 8 hours since the crocodile was taken from his pond. It's a long time for a big croc to be under stress, but finally, it's time to catch his flight to Sydney.
Pretty much you can see his nostrils and his teeth, and that's about it.
Before takeoff, Stephen Cutter's been called in from the Ark to give him a final vet check.
We're just checking how fast he's breathing, which will give us some idea as to how deep asleep he is and how ready he is to go on the plane. He's breathing about once every 3 or 4 minutes, which is great, and he should have a nice and pleasant journey.
Little do the passengers know what's being loaded right below their feet.
Thanks very much, Steve. I appreciate that. Well, I better get on the plane.
Chris will be flying south too. There's nothing he can do now but hope and pray his flying crocodile is still alive when they land.
A nervous flight comes, and every noise and bump that we hear on the flight, I'm going to be sitting there going, oh, I hope it isn't Morris.
We love John's work. She'll be walking like a trooper tomorrow, probably.
He's fully feeding by himself now. I'm looking to put him into a colony very, very shortly.
Still something special. We don't get to release birds every day, and it's always good to have a happy ending, and this one's special.